Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to take a look at extracting the layout from the tricks category and difficulty page, right? Those three look kind of similar, so let's go ahead and extract it, right? So in the pages, what I will do is I'll open up the category. I'll also open up the trick, and let's open up the difficulty just so we can kind of see the similarity between the three. So essentially we have some kind of element we want to display on the left and then the summary on the right. Trick, same thing. Summary on the right, some kind of element on the left. And same thing with the category, right? So the primary thing that I want to get rid of is configuring this layout in these three different components, essentially, right? And we can't use the layouts because most of these bits are different. So we're going to be making our own component. So let's go ahead and create a component. It's going to be a view component, and this one is going to be item content layout. All right, so item content, we have some kind of item, and that item has some kind of content. So item content and layout, I think that one's self-explanatory. So what do we want? We have an item on the left and we have an item on the right. I'm going to be using a Vuetify grid. So if you don't know how it works, I recommend check out the documentation. Otherwise, you can go ahead and follow what I'm doing. What am I doing? Going back and forth a little bit, but anyway. Right, so I'll have a row, stuff on the left, which is the first column, stuff on the right, which is the second column. And now I essentially want to make sure I can put the item, like the stuff in here. Essentially, it's either going to be the content or the item. So here we can use slots, right? So for slots, we give it a name, and on the left, we have the content, right? So a list of tricks or submissions, stuff like that. We can copy this and we can go to the second column and put this here, and in here goes the item. Okay, so this way we can supply our own HTML and stuff like that in here, and it should display as usual, right? So first of all, let's migrate the trick page. I'm gonna close the other two, and what I will do is I will slowly kind of bring it in. So let's grab the item content layout. Not like that. Let's grab a template, and we will have to supply our own slot, right? So if you know how we had a dialog in our default layout or something like that, I can't remember, or the content creation, we're essentially following the same sort of pattern. So for the V slot, first we want the content, and we get our IntelliSense here as well. And essentially we want right about this part, right? One thing I'll do is I'll remove this margin because that should be handled through the grid. Next thing, we want another template, and in here, the V slot is going to be the item, right? So that's going to be the information that we're passing in, and the V sheet. That's I'm gonna copy the V sheet here first, the whole thing, but I'm thinking I will take the V sheet and make it the default for all of them. Otherwise, deflex, margin top 3, justify content center, align start, all that good stuff. It can go. So content is automatically imported. Let's go ahead and see it. Fixing my tabs, and there we go. So you can see stuff is on the left, stuff is on the right. So one thing with the video is that you can see how it doesn't want to go past all the way. However, the card does fill it out. So I think what I will do is, for the video player, what we will do for the width is we will just set it to 100%, and then what this will force us to do is sort of control it properly for the layout that we want to set it. So at the moment this is 100%. You can see that it is always occupying 100%. If you have a wide screen, right, you're not going to be able to see 100% of the screen. So what I'm saying is, you as a human, you're not looking on the sides here. So this is the part where we want to squish it a little bit, and Vuetify, same as many other CSS frameworks, they provide something for you. So let's go ahead and open up the default page. And this is the part that we removed, and we just want to call this, or basically put the V container in here. And what this will do is it will provide some default padding. So as the screen size changes, it will either get bigger or smaller, and that's pretty much it, right? So let's make this fit a little bit more. So what I'm gonna start with is the smallest. So you can see if we go on mobile, it's kind of squashed, right? We don't want that. Let's open item content layout, and on the calls we will set 12. So this is just going to say that it's going to occupy 12 by default, but then we're going to use breakpoints to basically hide stuff. I don't want to display this on the small part, so let's go ahead quickly to Vuetify, and I don't actually know what to search for. Styles and animations, display, I guess, or that's just going to be inline block. Visibility, and I guess, okay, so yeah, display visibility. So D, value, or the breakpoint, right? So we want to display what kind of breakpoint, so I want to only hide it on small, so by default I set it to not display, so D none, and then SM and up I want it to display block or flex or whatever it is, so we can actually take a look at it, because I'm going to be hiding the whole column. I don't want it there, so let's just filter by display here. So display is block, so that's the default display that we have to give it. And otherwise this is too big, you can see, but let me not close the console yet. So for the calls, what I will do is I'll give it a class, and we will say D none. So by default it's not displaying. And DSM block. All right, and once we enter the small screen, hopefully, yeah, that's when it pops up. But again, it's still at the bottom, right? So if we go from here, yep, it's hidden. So that's fine. We can display it in a different way, maybe at the top here or something like that, or maybe in a pop-up. I think when I've been testing it in my own spare time, I came up with a dialog solution, which we're going to implement. But if you have any other ideas, or you tried a different style, reach out to me on Discord, send me some screenshots, and maybe we'll change it to that. But anyway, this looks good. Let's go ahead and check out what it's gonna look like on small. So on small, it's still pretty big. However, this backflip here, I now want it to actually appear on the side. So all we have to do is basically specify the breakpoint where we want to set basically the amount of columns that it occupies. So on here we'll say SM6, and here we'll say SM6 as well. Let's go check it out. So here you can see that it is split. So as soon as we go to smaller, it hides. One thing I'd say is that it could be a little bit smaller. So let's put a 7 here and a 5 here. Yeah. So that looks a lot better. So let's break to medium. I think that's the medium breakpoint. Right there. Let's double check the breakpoints. So where does medium? Medium is 960 and 1264. Okay, so that's where we actually break for large. So 900, that's when we start to get the padding from the V container. So as we come here, I want to actually make this a little bit bigger on medium. Or do I? Let's put a MD6 on here and see what that looks like, because you can see it stretches it, and then I want it to kind of conform with that. Do I mean, I think 7 was alright. Let's keep it at 7 here. So medium, 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 large. Okay, so next breakpoint is the large one, and yeah, just making sure it So the next breakpoint to take care of is the large one. Let's do it. So large, let's just make it 6. So we're just gonna shrink it a little bit, and we will offset it by 1. So we're kind of keeping the layout, but we just want to make sure the stuff is in the right position. That indentation is driving me insane a little bit, but that's okay. So, and this one's gonna be 4. Okay, so let's see what this looks like on the large breakpoint. So medium, 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 and large. And it kind of stays there. Okay, let's check the width that it's putting on here. 284. I feel like that might be a little bit too big. Now let's shrink it a little bit. So 200. My video is now playing, obviously. I reckon that's alright. Is this Instagram size? Let's check it. What's Instagram saying? Width is 700. 600 width. What are we on? What width are we? 400. Let's increase this. I was looking at the height, so... Okay, so 6 should be alright. Let's just make sure that... On here, what are we saying on here? 500? Feel like that's alright. And on mobile, on mobile screen is mobile screen, so you know that they get what they get. So full screen, is this extra large? Is that just extra large I witnessed? Let me put this on the bottom. I'm sorry that this is kind of like very experimental, but I guess I want to show how how I approach this stuff. So here we can see it's 1900, so we're definitely in the extra large space. So on the extra large space, let's simmer it down. So extra large 5 and offset extra large 2. Okay. Yeah, that one looks quite big as well, so let's put it down to 3. See what this looks like. So 700, I feel like it's still too big. Let's try this. Okay, and 500, right? So overall, all of them should look a little bit more, let me close the Instagram, a little bit more the same size, right? That's a little bit laggy. Does it lag if I come from this side? Yeah, just a little bit, but nobody's going to be resizing their screen like this, to be honest. So, okay, I'm quite happy with that. A little bit of fiddling about, but that's all right. Let me just put this back where it belongs. I'll update, whatever. I didn't really scroll all the way down here, but yeah. Now let's take a look at essentially displaying this information while it is on mobile screen, right? So the thing that I came up with is a little fob at the bottom, right? So there's like a button here, and as you're pressing through it, bigger phone, yeah. As you're pressing on it, it kind of just hovers here, right? So as you're going, it's kind of here. It tries not to get in the way. So, not sure why I closed that. One thing I've actually learned is in Writer how to wrap your stuff, right? So, not like that. Let's go ahead and select the whole thing, Ctrl-Alt-T, and we can surround this with a tag. And we can put a div here, right? So the reason I'm surrounding this is I want to put a v dialog in here, right? And then we want a template with a v slot and activator and whatever thing that we needed the v on. And now we'll have a v button. I will need to go look up the icon for it in just a second, and then the v on, we had to put the on here. Let's also bring in the data here. So the data is just to keep track of the dialog thing, right? So dialog, false. Let's go here. V model. dialog. Okay, so this button, let's give it fixed, so it's just gonna be fixed on the screen. A fab to make it a button, right? So can't see it right now. Let's put it at bottom right. Yeah, so it should appear here, right? So you should see it now. I mean, color red. You can put it in red, maybe blue, and a little bit, it sticks out a little bit more, right? So the icon, or actually material design icons, that's kind of where I go. And what is this? Question. We want a question mark, right? Let's filter and choose what you want. I think this help circle outline is the one for me. Let's put the icon in here, MDI. Okay, that just confused me. Help circle outline. Help circle outline. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, and there we got it. So it's a little bit big. Just make it dense. Dense? No, small? Dense is for the fields. Okay, so now it's really not in the way. Every time we play it, we want a pop-up to show up. This is hidden. So we want this dialog thing to be hidden on anything that is not the smallest one. So we can grab this bit here. Let's just put it on the button here, and we are gonna say none. So small and up, it's gonna be displaying none. So if we go to small, it's not there. As soon as we drop on mobile, it's there. Okay. So now when we display this, that's when we essentially just show the item, right? So let's put it here. If we open it up, there it is. So take a look at what this looks like. This actually looks alright. The dark theme makes it look a little bit weird, but nevertheless, I think we get pretty much what we wanted. Kind of like a responsive design on all screens, and the information is being displayed, and we can do it on all of them, right? So the main point of this is being able to take this layout and apply it to anything, right? So for this trick, let's go ahead and now transfer it to the difficulty and category pages. So let's take the category first. Let's bring in our item content layout, and here we will supply the table, the template slot. First we want the content here. It doesn't really matter what order we put them in, but I'm gonna just put my trick list in there, right? Simple. And then the next template, and we slot its item. Let's go ahead and grab yay much, remove this bit. So now if we essentially go to the, or rather we were at the backwards roll, we open it up, we want to see a category, let's see a flip, and here we get the same sort of thing. Why is that there? So the margin X on the sheet here, let's remove that. And that's one other thing, like because we are kind of putting the sheet in all of them, it probably won't hurt us to kind of put it here by default, right? So I mean, let's do it, right? We will take the V sheet. Let's open up item content layout, and here where we have the slot, let's go ahead and wrap it here. And the next V sheet, we can put it here. Don't forget the closing tag. And this one doesn't actually need to be sticky, and the padding, I think we can remove the padding. One thing I think would be cool is if we make it rounded, right? As well. So let's see. So you can't, hard to see it, but trust me, it's rounded. Okay. And yeah, now we don't need to supply the sheet here. We don't need to supply the sheet here. However, we do have that VF category. So let's remove the class, and for the V sheet, we'll just say div. Okay. Other than that, should be staying pretty much the same. Yeah, we kind of don't have a lot of information here, and you know, it kind of looks a little bit crap, but that's something that we can again take care of later on. Let's go ahead and bring in this template into the difficulty bit as well. Okay, so the tricks, again, let's put it here. Let's grab this class and remove it from here. I'm gonna do the same for the categories. I don't feel like it's needed, this margin all, or margin X rather. So going back to the difficulty, for the content, I'm gonna do the same sort of thing that we did. So I'm gonna grab these difficulties, I'm gonna put it here. We don't have the difficulty there, so let's put the difficulty there. Remove the div and item content layout. So let's just bring it in here like this. I mean, that does it automatically, but yeah, so struggled there for a second. So let's bring this on the phone. Looks okay. Let's go back to a trick. I don't have my stack navigation. So backwards roll, information, difficulty easy. Let's see what other easy tricks are there. Easy, maybe other difficulties. There is potential to on mobile because it doesn't appear here, but essentially what you're gonna get is a keyboard on the bottom here. So what we could is we can grab that search field and kind of pull it down to the bottom because the keyboard's gonna come up and the search field is gonna get pulled down to the bottom, right? So the layout seems to be working fine to me. Just go back a couple of times. Let's go to the backflip, scroll through, see how this feels. Medium. Back button on the mouse doesn't work here for some reason. Alt back, yeah. Keyboard still works. Backwards roll, yeah. I mean, looks like it's working all right. And now anytime we want to essentially edit the information display layout, we go to this component here and we configure the layout, and that will sort of propagate throughout our pages. But yeah, this will be it for this episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe. Don't forget to leave a comment if you have any questions. Check the description. You can also join my Discord server if you want. I also stream on Wednesdays and Sundays, so if you're into that kind of thing, come join, and hopefully I'll see you in my other episodes.